Hi, it's Toysoldyours here from the forums. I'm here to go over a J.Talbain Pauper deck. So I built this deck using nothing but starter exclusives, commons, and uncommons from the most recent standard sets. I built this deck as a fire deck. It's a backswing deck. It's a big numbers. It's a really fun kind of monstrous damage deck that you can build. So let's just get into it and I'll show you what I mean. So J.Talbain, his first ability is if this is your first attack this turn, it gets +2 damage, +2 speed. So straight up free numbers on your first attack every turn. It's amazing. Our commit after your kick, punch, or slam deals damage, you just draw 2 cards. So he really encourages throwing attacks, getting your pluses off it, and then just trying to put massive pressure on your opponent. But believe it or not, we're not trying to put just mindless pressure on. We built a deck more based on selective pressure, more based on trying to force them into attacking you a little bit earlier than they want to, so you can get in these really nasty backswing kills. And I'll show you what I mean when we get to it. So that's J.Talbain. For our attack lineup, we're running 4 beast cannons. It's a really flexible attack because it has 2 real primary functions. One, as the opener to get you that +1 draw to throw a 5/5 mid is really handy. Its second function is to be played as like the 3rd attack in a string on a difficulty 5, so you can still knock off that attack without having to commit anything, and then it plays as card loop for another attack after that. So it's really, really good because then you can play a 4 difficulty slam after that and also try to get that on the 5 and still not have to commit anything. So it's a really good numbers card. One of the MVPs of the deck for Crash Slam. It comes with a stun 1. This is going to be our hopeful opener all the time. It's got commit 1 foundation. This attack may only be blocked by mid block, so make sure that your first attack's dealing damage, and it really helps proc your later on effects. It also has commit 1 foundation as a cost, which we're going to get into later, but we've built this deck to be playable while committed and to get effects from foundations and to really mitigate costs and try to get bonuses out of them. And usually with Talbain, you'll be able to put enough numbers on this Crash Slam to get between 8 and 10 damage, so they're almost always going to want to block it. So it turns into really great block bait as well, because they don't know if you're just going to throw a Crash Slam for poke damage, or if you're throwing it as a lead into other bigger, nastier things. And when it's an 8 damage attack and it's still just a leading attack, that's a really scary thing. We're also running 4 diving beast cannons and 4 rising beast cannons. This is like your bread and butter beatdown stuff. Slams, combo slams. They both have an if your first attack dealt damage thing. With Crash Slams, it usually does. And then they have combo enhances to get more numbers. They have high blocks, low blocks, high attacks, low attacks. It's just a great mix-up card. It's pretty bread and butter beatdown for Talbain stuff. Again, this card can be played after you do like a Crash Slam into a rising beast cannon, then you go into your beast cannon, and then you go into your another rising beast cannon, whatever. But you can play all of this without having to commit a single foundation, which is fantastic. So that's that. Then we're also running the 2 shiny climb lasers that you get in your starter. Typically, we do not want to be getting that first enhance. We want to be really going for that combo enhance in this deck. We want numbers. I mean, the first enhance is great. It's there. You can use it if you kind of need to lead the attack and you're not getting that backswing opportunity that you'd like. But really, really, we want to get that combo off. Your most ideal go off is that same kind of lineup where you go Crash Slam, then you second up into a climb laser. Then you're going to want to go into that, your regular beast cannon. Then you're going to want to go into your like rising beast cannon. This is really your ideal kind of an attack lineup. It's tons of damage. It's great pressure, and this is what you want to be doing for an ideal backswing kill, I guess. And those are our attacks. Actions, we are running 3 actions. We're running 3 key auras. This card's amazing. I love it. Not so much for that enhance. The enhance is good. It's there. If we really need to race car somebody, we can kind of get a little bit of card lube off of it. But that R is amazing. Before the damage step of your opponent's attack, it's -2 damage. Add 1 non-reversal slam from your discard pile to your hand. Conveniently, everything but our climb laser is a slam, so you can recur your Crash Slams with this. You can recur whatever piece of your ideal attack string that you really want and just go for it. It's also got a +1 high block, which you can't complain about. 5 check, can't complain about that. Really great card. Helps set up your backswings. Just incredible, right? It messes with numbers when they think they've just got that kill off. All of a sudden you're not dead and you get your attack and you can just go off the next turn. So a really good card. For assets, we are also running another amazing backswing card, Talbain's Nunchuck You. After you block with this card, add it to your staging area. So you can block with this thing, drop it right away, and then all of a sudden it turns into this destroy just plus card. So it just gives you amazing advantage afterwards. Yes, you got to be careful with this thing because your opponent can also draw blocks. So ideally you want to be putting tons of numbers on your cards, again, just to try and get through that the blocks, right? We're also running 4 Homemade Explosives. This card, man, I just love this card so much. It's, in my eyes, it's like the revoke of assets, right? It just says no to assets. And on top of just saying no to all assets, like that would have been good enough to run at a 4 of almost in some decks. This thing also has a static after this attack is destroyed, draw 1 card, and it gets +2 or -2 damage, right, for your attack. Like, it's just ridiculous. So again, this is more damage reduction that you can have. This is also damage pump that you can have. It's plussing. Like, it's just incredible. I can't get over this card that it's not unique. It's just fantastic. Getting into the foundations now, let's go right into our prime killers, which is your 2 breaking limit, 2 prototypes. These are just disgusting. So this just turns everything into a kill card. Destroy for +4 damage on first attack, +4 speed on next attack, just free right off the hop, and then this stupid thing, destroy momentum for +6, +3. Like, amazing numbers, turns everything killer. Your opponent just, it'll make them scared. They'll do everything they can to shut these down, commit them, destroy them, whatever they can, because they know these just end games. Now onto a bit of the quirky fire committal engine that we got going on here. We're running 4 Orders from Hydern, and we're running 3 Limitless Strength. So if you don't know what these do, when you commit them during the enhanced step of your attack, they give free damage. This one gives +2, this one gives +3. Limitless Strength, unfortunately, has no other real abilities, so we're only running 3 of these. Orders from Hydern, on the other hand, has this incredible destroy this foundation, choose 1 attack in your opponent's card pool. It may not be removed from the card pool for the rest of this combat phase, playable while committed. Again, playable while committed, love that junk. So we can commit it for our Crash Slams, give it +2 damage, still pop it to shut down. Like, let's say they're playing a Kin deck, it just absolutely wrecks that guy's face. Anybody that can scoop attacks out of their card pool back into their hand, anybody that can like Proto Man doing stupid Proto Man stuff, it just shuts down all kinds of quirky stuff. So this card, I've blindsided a lot of people with this card. Don't underestimate it. It's fantastic. Just a weird little techie thing, and it's just more numbers for our Talbain. And now, on top of just running Crash Slam, because really running 7 committal cards just for Crash Slam is a little bit ridiculous, we are running 3 Embracing His Curse, as well as 3 Cruet's Bloodline. So let's go over Embracing first. Embracing, what it does is lose 1 vitality, your attack is +1 speed. That's fantastic. It's free. I mean, I can run that thing as much as I want and then commit it later to pass stuff, so I'm getting multiple effects off this thing every turn. But the great shiner of it is the commit 1 foundation after you lose vitality as part of a cost, gain a vitality, which essentially turns your Orders from Hydern and all that junk into just, you know, enhance, commit, and then you get +2/+1s off these things, right? And you can't complain with that. Cruet's Bloodline, very similar kind of card. It's got commit 1 foundation. If this is your first stack this turn, it gets +2 speed. So again, turns this into a free +2/+2, and it's got a free enhance on the bottom. If your first attack wasn't blocked, your attacks get +1 damage. So it's another one of those mind game cards where it's really going to make people want to block that first one, and it really kind of opens you up to make more plays, right? Block bait's fantastic. I just love block bait. And this kind of sets that up. It puts speed on things. It makes them really want to try to commit tons of stuff to block that super fast attack. It's just, and it's a fun card. So these, when mixed with these, it just gives you lots of numbers on top of the already ridiculous numbers you can get. And yeah, moving on. For Youre's Orochi Blood. Now, this used to be Flames Restored, but after playing with Flames Restored, I kind of felt that I wasn't getting quite enough value out of Flames. Like, Flames is fantastic, don't ever downplay Flames, and it does have a nice synergy with Embracing His Curse, because you can cut yourself, then you can proc the first response for it, but then you got to commit the thing, there's no block on it, it's a 3 difficulty, it destroys itself for its own cost, so it just ended up being like, it can only do one thing. It does an amazing thing, but it only does one thing, and in a Pauper deck, you don't really want just these single sort of functiony cards. You really want to get maximum value. Like I want a card that I can use to force procs on other cards, and then I can also gain speed off it, and then I can also commit it to pass stuff all in one turn. So it's got tons and tons of functionality in one instance of a turn, whereas this thing's really only going to do me one thing in a turn, and you know, that's not really what I want to be going for. So we're running 4 Yore's Orochi Blood, and it does only have one sort of useful effect for us, but it's really useful effect for our kind of deck. Destroy this foundation. This attack gets +2 damage. If you are at desperation, it gets -2 damage instead, and again, playable while committed. Fantastic, because if we need damage, it's damage, and if we're falling behind, starting to get the crap beat out of us, hey look, it's damage reduction, and damage reduction is kind of what we're going for a little bit, to mess with the numbers of our opponent. Also, it has a block. Also, it's a 2 difficulty instead of the 3 difficulty. So you're just getting a little bit more value out of Yore's Orochi Blood. You can use it in a worst case, you don't see your free damage commits, you can use this as your commit target for other stuff. So it's just a great card. I really enjoy this one. I've always enjoyed it every time I ran it, and this was just a good excuse to push it up to 4 copies and just see how she really shines. In terms of our spam foundations, we're running 4 Cursed Fates. Again, a card where you can discard cards to gain damage and then still later on commit it to pass cards, so you're still getting multiple functions out of it every turn. Can't complain about multifunction cards. For 8,000 degrees, this card's a little bit not super multifunction, but it covers 2 bases that we really like covering. It gives you damage reduction, and it gives you damage pump, and it gives +1s. So it gives those regular 3 damage attacks that we have, and it puts them into range of, ooh, surprise, Robot Masters. So Robot Masters just adds value to these spam cards, really. So instead of just discarding a card for +1 damage, I can discard a card, get +1 damage, and then also get the stun 1 and get another +1 damage off Robot Masters for Crash Slam. So it's, you know, adding value to these spam cards that would regularly just not give you tons and tons of worth. It gives a little bit more value to them. So that's our spam. Again, Robot Masters, fantastic card. I think we have 8 4 damage cards, we have 8 3 damage cards, and then there are 2 climb lasers. So this card is going to put in quite a bit of work. We're also running 2 big jobs because, again, we're not running Flames Restored. We don't have any real use for momentum other than our prototypes. So this kind of gives us something else to do with it. And, you know, again, if we have to try to bust through a wall and they're not giving us opportunities, this card will help us get there. It's really not hard in this deck to double the damage of a 3 or 4 damage card. We're just putting ridiculous numbers on things. So this card kind of really, it just helps us get through some stupid stuff. You can pull off some crazy stun stuff, especially when your Crash Slams are all hitting and you're getting momentum off those. And our last foundation that we're running is the Land of Makai. So now this card, it's way better than people give it credit for. I understand that there are, you know, simpler targeted committals out there, but this one's really good for what we're doing. Specifically because usually when someone's throwing really hard into you, they're going to keep stuff like Muay Thai Fighter up, they're going to keep stuff that, like, they're defensive pieces, they're stuff that's going to keep them alive, and this is fantastic because it shuts down all of them in one go. So it makes it like their speed reduction, their reactive styles, whatever they're running, whatever they're running that's protecting them, it just knocks them over and just really disrupts their defensive plans. And that's what we want in a backswing deck. We don't want them having those straggler pieces that are going to save their butts. We really just want to shut those down. So, and it helps with wall busting if we really need to get through stuff. So that is the J.Talbain deck. There are some cards that I thought about putting in that I ended up not putting in, stuff like Leona's Orochi Blood, mostly because I went for a damage reduction sort of motif instead of the speed reduction, which is really all I'm getting off this. I don't have any fire, good attack, so I'm really not getting tons of value out of this card. So, you know, the Yore's Orochi Blood kind of does a little bit of a better job of what we want. We want to make J.Talbain really tanky. He just takes more hits than they think he can take and then punishes them for it. Other stuff, Comfort in a Bottle, you could easily play one of this card. I don't know if it's fantastic in J.Talbain. We're using Kiora to dig slams, and then this helps. I mean, you can easily throw one of this into this deck and it's not going to hurt anything. If anything, it might help you out, it might help you thin stuff, but it's not needed. So if you can't hunt one down, don't really worry about it. It's a good card though. We're not running key techniques. It does have damage reduction, it does have multi-functionality, which I like, but and it even has that commit discard a card, draw a card, but it's got no block, and I'm not super in love with it yet. Maybe after I play with it a little bit more, I'll find more love for it. But currently, it's not really making me super proud. We're not running quick and precise. The other combos that we got going on with Robot Master is just going to put in more work than this card, and it's a commit once for that effect that I really don't want in my deck, and it's got no block on it, so really it's just not putting in enough work for me. Shunned, again, this card's just not putting in enough work for me. Youre just does way more work. It's got a block. Youre can be card lube if I need it to be. This card's just not doing it, so again, we're not running it. One card I didn't put in the deck that probably could be in the deck is Celestial Being. Celestial Being is your stun, committal, defense. Even if you're not running reversals, this thing's incredible. It saves your life, and it turns out that being alive is pretty key to killing things. So really, really good. I didn't include it because it's technically a promo now. It's no longer an uncommon, so it doesn't really fall under the Pauper category anymore. But depending on your accessibility to this card, you should probably consider running it. One last really cool note about this J.Talbain deck is that if you manage to make it to the pre-release and got your hands on a copy of Pyron, this entire deck works just by throwing Pyron on top of it. Actually, the original concept for this deck came off of Pyron. I needed to rewire the thing a little bit to make it Talbain friendly. Again, I just love that playable while committed concept that Fire has going on right now. It's just, I think it's really, really fun, and it gives you a lot of output options, and it gives you lots of things to do, even if you're going, you know, just balls to the wall with aggro. He lets you destroy any foundation to get a check, gives +2, so, you know, for blocks, for attack, whatever. And then he's got that commit to foundations ability built right in on him. So when you're, you know, you can use all that other playable while committed jargon, and you're still getting all your effects off. You're still getting, you know, your orders from Hydra, and you're still getting this. Like, he basically turns this into like a +10 damage if you don't block, +5 if you do. Like, it's really kind of gross, the kind of pluses you can get. So it's taking costs and turning them into benefits, which is really, again, for a Pauper deck, you want to be maximizing your effects, maximizing what you get out of cards, trying to like really, really add value to what you're getting out of each individual piece. So that's the overall deck. Please feel free to give it a try. There's lots of stuff that you can build this deck into. There's lots of cards you can add to it. Like, if you grab yourself 2 J.Talbain starters, you can probably throw another Climb Laser in here. There's probably a bunch of other stuff. I'm not going to do tons of recommendations on what rares and what not to throw into this, because it's pretty tailored to the basic attack set that you get out of the starter. So give it a shot if you're starting out in UFS. It's a really great place to start out. It's a really fun deck, just because throwing massive attacks at people and just blindsiding them it's just super fun. So give it a shot. But until next time, with the Felicia starter next, this is Toy signing out.